On the Sherry Lord Talk Show podcast. Start your day off with a higher vibrational podcast with weekly guests covering spirituality, healthy foods, and so much more. Go to sherrylord.com for more info. Wow, that was quick. It's just been a really wonderful morning. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the Lifestyle, Spirituality, and Authors podcast. We're so happy to have you join us this morning. And by the way, make sure you chat. We'd love to hear you. We know you're watching us, but we'd love to kind of have a conversation, ask a question. We'd be more than happy to answer it as well. And we also have advertisement. Go to www.sherrylord.com, and we would love to market you and get you out there. And by the way, we have an amazing guest, and we're so happy to have this guy. You'll see him on Facebook. He's got his guitar, but he's a deep soul man, and he can help you shift. And he's a living example of being in the moment. He really is, and he's a lot of fun. We want to welcome Addison Palmore. And we're so happy to have you, Addison. You are wonderful. You've been at my events, and your presence alone makes a difference in this world. And you're so much fun. You're very active. You definitely, out of all the people I really know, live in the moment. You're just so freeing and a good example to many people. And I know when we talked about the topic, it's the infinite magical space beyond thought and emotion. And you're also an author. Can you tell people a little bit about you and bring your book up, and we'll talk about your book, because this book is beautiful. It's very deep in the heart. And when you read it, you're really going to feel the transformation. Oh, it's amazing. You're going to love this book, and you're going to love Addison. He's amazing.
I'm getting used to the feed. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're doing great.
Jerry, so much for the introduction. I'm so grateful to be here with you today and with everybody else. Namaste.
Absolutely. Namaste.
Yeah. The presence within me recognizes the presence within you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for all the things that you do in the world, Sherry, to make the world a better place. You're really amazing.
Well, thank you. Well, I think we all have a part here. And I also love watching your Facebook, because you also are a musician. You sing and you play your guitar, and I see a lot of fun and a lot of humor coming out of it spontaneously for you. And but your book is amazing too. I remember the first time the book was gifted to me by Radasi. And when I held that book, I could feel the energy in that book, but the book cover itself is so soft. I go, I've had a lot of, paperback books, but this one is so soft. I don't know. It just felt the love in it and the deepness in it too.
Well, it's funny because you say that, because every morning I get on my hands and knees with these books, and I scrub crystals all over the book to make them. It's a lot of work, a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I remember being there then, and that's when I met you the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I had so much fun. One time I went as a spectator or a customer or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
I went as a presenter, and
yeah.
Both experiences were fantastic. But thank you. Yeah, so I've written 3 books. The first one was Tap Into the No Drama Zone, probably about, I don't know, 15 years ago. And that's got a lot of my personal story in there. My story's been bizarre. A bit bizarre.
You do. You have an amazing life journey that can you share that with our audience?
Well, it's been magic. It's every experience, every emotion. Because honestly, what's come to me the last decade for sure, though, no, the last 2 decades, is that basically our entire life is a series of movements in the mind, because movements in the mind, So what's happening is that it's sort of the catch-22. Is the outside creating the inside, or is the inside creating the outside? The egg, right? And so this life is just, I haven't missed anything. It's been been bliss.
Yeah.
It's been
Wow. Mhm.
disappointment, all of it. And finally, there was just a big a big yield or a big surrender that has to be it has to be the surrender or whatever has to be completely turned back into this like open moment every moment
Yeah.
of every day, right? And then what happens is, um, with these practices, and then I'm going to talk about the book because the book's got a lot
Yeah.
of. But what happens is what's happened in this life, and I point to this one because I'm just one of many, and we're all the same underneath it all, right? But for
Yes.
this life, it has turned into sort of a permanent sense of ease,
Okay.
peace, which can erupt into you name it at any given moment, right? But I will say in my life, in this incarnation, in this one, right, there was a time when the vibration was a little lower and the spikes were really high, like a heart monitor, right? The
Yeah.
highs and the lows were. These days, the vibration seems to be a little higher,
Mm-hmm.
a lot higher
Yep.
actually. The spikes are small, right? But they're spikes. You go into joy, you go into bliss, and to me,
Right.
it's all bliss. Even if there's despair, it's like
Yeah.
so. There's despair for a moment, right? But that's bliss because guess what? We get to feel it. We're here. The
Mm-hmm.
most magical thing of all is to be human, be in these bodies, and go, whoa. Like a little kid. The little kid's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't really see the kid's like the little kid's like. I don't really see the problem, guys. I just need a diaper and something to eat, and we're good, And kind of getting back to that innocent space, open-hearted space.
Yeah.
So, so this book, and then I wrote a book called Along the
Oh
Way.
wow. I didn't even know you had all those other books.
Yeah, well, it was a mistake. I mean, there were accidents. I didn't, you know what I mean? They just I put up one day, and I started writing. But this book was interesting because I took a couple of years and I did, as a sort of an adventure. I became an Uber driver, and I went
Oh
around the country aimlessly wandering in different cities as an Uber driver, and literally kind of living just from a seat of my pants, right, in the
wow.
moment,
Yep.
different cities like out west, like in Seattle and Portland and California, and then Phoenix and places like that. And so I was doing the practices, the meditation practices, and the mindfulness practices, and that was the main focus, right? Was to turn that into a meditation, and then this book came from that. So these
Oh
experiences,
wow.
they're really just outlandish. I mean, you have
Wow.
heartbreak stories, you have like spiritual stories, you have all kinds of stories. So that's what that book's about. But
Mm-hmm.
this one,
I really love that book. Yeah.
thank you. Um, Oddly enough, this is really cool for me because I was sitting. It was probably about a decade ago, and I was sitting right here in this exact spot. I was in a
Wow.
chair, but for about 6 months, I got into the chair. It was a big, oversized white canvas chair, and for
Okay.
about 6 months, I got into that chair every single time at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. And I would go into a deep. We were talking about this earlier. I would go into a deep samadhi or a deep trance for about an hour, and then all this like
Wow.
stuff that needed to be shared would come out, and I would grab the computer and I would write, and it felt like
Oh
I
wow.
was doing the writing. It didn't feel like I was doing anything. That's why I wrote. That's why I call this Just Be, is because not because you're not doing anything. You are. You're doing more. You're more efficient. You're more alive. Your life is more full. Or maybe you're doing nothing, but it's all coming from this state of like it feels like you're not doing anything. It's just flowing.
Yeah.
It's just synchronicity from one moment to the next. So a lot of people that over the years, should I put it up one more time?
Yeah, because it's a really good book. I mean, I would highly recommend this book. It is so, you'll be so indulged into it, and you'll also feel the shift when you read it. You will shift consciously with it. Really in-depth writing.
Thank you. And so that it channeled it as or it chaneled like a
Okay.
purse for the
Hey, I
perfume.
like that. I
It
like that.
through me, right? And then the structure of it was and I'm blushing. Thanks for making me blush. It's really cool. But the structure of the book was news to me. As it turned out, once it was written, I wrote about a 250-page book, and then that was way too much information, and so I backed it down to about 105, 110 pages or something like that. Really efficient, really simple. There's still mistakes in there that I left in there on purpose because the perfectionist and the control freak's going to look at that and go, oh. But the idea is to transmute that, right? To transmute that into love. And this whole book, I would say, and I love this word transmute. It's a process of transmuting, and we've also, and I'm getting into a lot of subjects right here, but we've also got things on the outside that are challenges to us, right? But we've also got all of this. We're carrying so much trauma from childhood, possibly other lifetimes, and you and I were talking about going into trance states and going to be other life, going into the deep zone, the stillness, which is the energy of creation. The energy of creation is that still peaceful moment.
Yes.
And from there, a book can get written, a song can get written, a painting can get written, a podcast can show up. A relationship can start, a relationship can end. It will create and destroy. It will create what serves evolution. It will destroy what does not. And the idea is to kind of get on board with that, right? Flowing down the river, not grabbing onto the old, things that hanging on. So these days, and I'm getting on, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but that's cool because these days we're seeing the world shift so fast.
Oh yeah.
So fast that I'm seeing right now with people that are in my life and in my world, and people that are not in my world, on the extended world, right? It's all. So I'm seeing that any hanging on right now is not any hanging on, not a good idea. Opening up the heart, tapping into the love space, and allowing what's happening and just getting on board with it. Better idea.
Wow.
It is for me, and I'm seeing that sort of across the board. Okay, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That's really it's deep, but you can see it in a different lens, a different perception, a knowing that's there. It comes from that deep from within. And there's a lot of shifts happening. There's a lot of changes happening right now for a lot of people, but things are going a lot quicker. Things are shifting a lot quicker and changing quickly.
I just turned 60, and in this incarnation, what's happened in the last 5 years, I was blown away by what happened from, say, 2005 to 2015.
Okay.
I have just been absolutely astonished at what's been happening from 2000 COVID until now, and especially the last year. And we were all told. I mean, I know I was told, and the prophecies and everything. We were all told that there were going to be times like this. And I'm not drawing any conclusions, any grand prophecies or statements about what that means or doesn't mean, but it's moving fast. And so the greatest way for me to deal with this, and people I'm working with, and just in general, is for me to turn the attention, because this is a choice. We have this innocent child within us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Resting right now. I'm sitting in a chair. I can literally feel my body melting into this furniture, being held by gravity. I'm looking out. I'm in this moment. I see a really nice lady with a pink hat. She's really cool. On a tiny little TV. I see a great guy with an orange shirt talking on there, and then outside I see keys, and I look around and I feel this hum. And I call that the cosmic Om. Right? That underlies all creation. And it's sound vibration, which is what we are. And at the end of the day, we are sound vibration. That's really nature. So that's the same thing that's flowing through those trees and making them beautiful. It's the same thing that's flowing through you, and the same thing that's flowing through me. And it's also the same thing that's flowing through the inanimate objects. It's the same thing that's in this. And it's a felt sense of this, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm up to is to turn the attention while all this is going on, turn the attention back to that experience or that the essence of that all day, every day, and
Yeah.
then see what happens. And then see what happens. Of course, the plans are made and all this stuff, but outcomes are left up to that. You know, the universe, what the universe uh, dictate the outcomes and just allow. And that's kind of what this book is about. Um, it's not kind of what this book. It's exactly what this book.
Yeah, because you're living it. You're literally living it every day. And that's what fascinates me about you is that you actually are living it, you know? And the other thing is it's about emotions and feeling. A lot of people don't feel. And I mean, even women, but a lot of men don't. You know what I'm saying? So how does this book help? Just by reading it and it lets you understand it?
Well,
Or what do you want to share about the emotions?
I'm so glad you know. Actually, when you asked me, you know, what's the topic, and I just immediately I just said, okay, the experience beyond emotion and beyond thought, and
Right.
I almost went, wait a minute, because it doesn't. It includes emotion. Emotions are the river of life. Emotions are the river of life. I mean, and women are know this so much more than men do, right? You guys know this. The idea is to turn back into this body, focus on the body, where all the intelligence is in the body. We're talking about
Oh
the
yeah,
mind.
we're very intelligent. Yeah.
That's where in the heart, the mind, the body's got all this stored intelligence. The mind is just 10% of our, if that, and it's just all we're really using it for is to survive and to make plans and organize things, and it can come into the creative process to organize what's been created, right, a little bit. But honestly, we've made that part of our existence God. You know, we've made and so we turn off the emotions. We're running away from the emotions, turning our. We've been taught. We've literally been taught and conditioned into running away from the emotions, eating a donut while we watch TV so that we don't have to feel anything. And
Right.
so you and I were talking about before we went live was both of us, and I know so many people that do this these days, sit alone or with somebody else in quiet, in the stillness and the
Mhm.
quiet, literally feeling everything. And
Yeah.
sometimes really uncomfortable. But what's happening is it's energy moving that needs to move. That's all it is. Thoughts are energy moving, feelings are energy moving. It's just energy. That's all it is. Yet we, you know, and a lot of the thinking that we have, especially the thinking that's uncomfortable and takes us out of the moment, is coming from trauma or past stored energy that's releasing, and then it shows up in thought forms in the brain, right? It shows up, and then we pay attention to it when we get spooked. We're like, I don't want to feel that. I'm gonna go get a glass of wine, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. But let's just get real with what's going on, right? Um, there's a whole bunch of people in our society, and I used to be one of them that spent their entire days, every single day, going from one escape to the next. It could be a conversation, blah 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 blah, and then now it's the golf course, blah 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 blah. Blah. Now it's work, blah 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 blah. Now it's TV, now it's making breakfast, and where where's living? Let's live. Where's the living? You know. And in my case, I've had you know, I've had some things that occurred in my life that forced me into just like blew it all up, and I had to go. Wait a minute.
Wow.
I got to stop, and just be, and then see what happens and feel. I love what you said. Thanks for introducing the feeling um, part of this because it's the biggest part.
Yeah, it is. And it sounds really deep. I mean, you have a fascinating life too. You know, you've had a fascinating life, you know, your journey and where you are today from everything from here to here and then how it still evolves, you know. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And especially also, I mean, I know we have no gender. When I see people, we're the soul. You know, that's how I see people. But in the physical, as we're here interacting with everybody, um, what can you tell men? I mean, women too. There's women too. It's not just men, but a lot of men. Why am I, you know, there's now awakening now. I'm seeing more men groups than I had before, you know, And there's a lot of women groups. We're out there already. We've been out there.
Yeah.
But I'm also seeing a lot of men starting to touch into their emotions. There are men who do. I mean, I have friends who do, and I have friends who don't, But how did you I mean, I know you explained it, but what can they do? What is that about? Because now men are starting to awaken, more men. Not that there aren't. There's a lot of wonderful men out there, you know, but I'm saying the feeling part. What is the difference between the woman and the man? That's all emotions.
Yeah, well, the woman's the nester and the man's the provider, and he's, so,
Right,
um, but what, all that aside, the awakening process right now is the divine feminine opening up,
right.
taking, and honestly, that is the power. Okay, when I write a book called Just Be, there's a great book that I highly recommend by David Hawkins called Power versus Force.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
force, and so real power is drawing into that female part of us, right? And men are
Mhm.
waking up to this. Men are waking up to this because we're all going there anyway. There's no use hanging on anymore. I mean, because
Right.
it served us to get into that male protecting and conquering and
Okay.
competition, and it served at the time where we were evolutionary in our evolutionary process 100 years ago. That sort of served. It literally doesn't serve anymore
Yeah,
because
it's shifting. Yeah.
it's a lower source of power. It's not real power. It's force. Um, so in my case, what I teach a lot of men, I'm so glad you said this because it's also women too, like you say, right? I've been
Yes.
I've been in
Yes.
meditation retreats, many meditation retreats, long meditation. We're
Mm-hmm.
there for weeks and stuff like that, and,
Yeah.
and and a lot of the women are conditioned sort of in a male way, so that they're when it comes to their nervous system and their emotional body, they're almost more male than they are female, because they've been conditioned away from their own nature, and so now not only are the men waking up and going, oh my God, what just hit me, a lot of women are too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, and you're right. We are genderless. I mean, within us, we
Mm-hmm.
have male and female. We have the left side
Yeah.
and the right side, and then we function best when they're balanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
our society over the last well, we've been in this dark age for about the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 thousand years,
Mm-hmm.
especially since Christ and all that stuff, right? We got into some dark, male dominated, patriarchal system type that just frankly didn't work. And it causes, what it does is it causes fear. It causes fear based control,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It causes fear based control, and that's not working anymore for anybody.
No,
So
it's not.
no,
Yeah. Yeah,
no,
because I've been seeing the shifts a lot with everybody. I mean, a lot of people are awakening. They're seeking the change. They're wanting more peace in their life. They're seeking, and I think that's a good thing.
me too. Speaking of which, would you mind if I take like a couple of minutes and I can share a really simple practice that'll start.
Oh, I think that people would love to have tools. People would love to know how to do some things. Absolutely.
All right, all right. So, Sherry, I want you to close your eyes. We're going to take 30
Okay.
seconds. Okay, take a couple of really deep breaths. Inhalation, exhalation, inhalation, exhalation. Now, just notice that your body is breathing on its own. No help from you. It's just life happening on its own. The gift of life occurring on its own. Now, Shirley, let me ask you a question. Can you notice your mind moving? It could be a thought, a sound of my voice, a sensation in the body, but can you notice any movements in your mind?
Very peaceful.
That's a movement in the mind. The noticing of a peaceful state is a movement in the mind.
I keep hearing the word surrender.
Yet another movement in the mind. So, okay, now you can open your eyes.
Okay.
All right. Now, for most people, that's a huge upgrade in consciousness. It was for me to notice that everything is literally a movement in the mind. And what's happening on the inside is that we are noticing the move. We're not actually reacting to what's happening on the outside ever.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We're reacting to that movement in the mind. And then there's a chemistry in the body that shows up, fight or flight or love or whatever, right? So we're dealing with fear and love. And then that chemistry shows up. And from there, we get our felt sense. And from there, we can either react or respond, right? And or create or destroy or whatever, right? And that's a huge
Mm-hmm.
for most people. So once we notice the mind moving, right, then
Right.
we can move into a frequency that's higher than thought and higher than emotion. Okay, and it's gratitude. We can move into a
Yep.
gratitude state. So here's what happens. What we do is we just close the eyes again. Just notice the breath happening, and then we can introduce this very simple phrase. Thank you for this moment exactly as it is. Thank you for this moment exactly as it is. And we don't want to say that over and over and over again. We want to allow for space and allow for thinking. All thoughts are welcome. All feelings are embraced. Whatever happens, happens. Just let it be, you know. And then return the attention to thank you for this moment exactly as it is. Okay, now you can open your eyes.
Mm-hmm. That was for me. It was an amazing experience. I've always felt very peaceful as I meditate daily, but this is a different, unique technique, a little differently. But I enjoyed it, and I did feel the presence right away. And then I just felt going deeper, and then I heard "Love You."
Okay, so this is really simple. It's effortless, and it's turning the attention to the frequency of gratitude, right? And
Mm-hmm.
gratitude is one of the on the tree of love, the tree of
Yep.
love, or you could say the tree of God or the tree of
Yep.
source, right? Gratitude is one of the branches, right? Appreciation is one of the branches, one of the catalysts into, let's say, ascending, rising above, right? And so you're sort of like, and I'm not talking about the great ascension. I'm talking about just in a moment transcending or
Right.
ascending, right, to a place of peace, right? And so this is twofold. So you can sit there and do what we just did for like 20 minutes and just see whatever. And then the rest of the day, this has been very powerful for me and for, I'll tell you one thing. Well, let me finish my thought. You can literally say that phrase, thank you, or you can use the
Mm-hmm.
word thank God or thank Spirit for
Yeah.
this moment exactly as it is all day long. You're driving, you get twisted up about somebody in another car. Gratitude, right? And then see what happens. And so the twofold, what's happening is that you're reducing mountains of stress when the eyes are closed, and you're doing that as a meditation. And then,
Right.
and then throughout the day, you're sort of like preventing more stress from coming in or generating from within, and it starts to rewire the neural pathways in the brain. And
Oh, okay.
it's literally because what gets fired gets wired. If you keep, so you may not feel grateful, but that's okay because if you keep doing this over and over and over again, eventually the neural pathways will realign and connect, and gratitude, the felt sense of gratitude will show up, and then watch the magic that starts to show up around you when that happens. It's really powerful. I've been doing this for years. During COVID, we had about 10 people. We had the first 3 years of COVID when we were all in lockdown. We had a Zoom group,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, for every single day during those first 3 years, and there were about 10 of us. And this is the meditation that we did, and every day we checked in with each other, and the results were astonishing. The results were astonishing, and that meditation is in this book. I call quiet observation. But it's in this book.
Oh, thank you for sharing. It was a wonderful experience. And the book, I mean, um, how can people get your book? Is it, do you have to go to a website? Is it on Amazon? How can they get your book?
Add it, just be Addison Palmore. Just type it in, and it's right there.
Wow, that's really cool. And how can people get a hold of you? I mean, you help a lot of people.
Well, I think there's you can get hold of me on Instagram or Facebook.
Okay.
Um,
Just
and
by your name, just by typing in your name, they can find you.
yeah, and then addison.palmore@gmail.com. You can email me. That's also in the book too, because I put the email in the back of the book, so that people could give me feedback and ask questions and things like that.
No, this has been wonderful. You guys, his book is amazing. You definitely want to get his book. You will feel the transformation within yourself. And it is an easy read, but as you're reading it, you'll find your consciousness shifting and you'll feel more expanded. That's what I felt. And I feel that it's really good. And I think this is an amazing, you're a beautiful author, but you're also living it. And so you're very authentic, and I think that's to the heart. And we're so happy and blessed to have you on our show. And we will have you back. Thank you, Addison, very, very much. Namaste, everybody. And we just want to bless everyone for watching us and those who are on our show today. And just thank you so much. And namaste to all, and blessing all with abundance, prosperity, and wealth, and lots of love in your life. Namaste.
Bye.